Hey folks, Brian here again. So, GenCon 2020. The number of folks there were much more than last year, but not really nearly as many as 2019 or 18 for that matter, because both those, it's always packed there, right? It's packed, packed, packed. And last year was the first time, opening up after COVID, and so it was like maybe a third of the people there. I mean, you could walk anywhere you wanted. There's always plenty of room to get through the hallway, and maybe a third of the vendors were there, that kind of thing. This year, the vendor hall was pretty full, and the hallways were pretty full, but you could still get anywhere you need to go. So, it wasn't like before. Oh, but day zero for Gen Con. I'm taking off at work at noon. It's a 10-hour drive, right? I'll get there about 10-ish. Sharing a room with a couple other GMs from Chaosium, and I'm heading up 95. I'm getting close to Springville, and I hear a pop, and my TDI gets zero boost. I have to floor it to get any kind of traction at all. It takes me forever to get back up to speed. And I crawl up to Lindsay Volkswagen, is where I bought the bug. So I put the Lindsay Volkswagen in my GPS, and okay, we cruise along up until we get to it. And it's not near Springville, which is what I thought. It was actually up by Dulles. I'll remember that from now on. I finally get there. The senior mechanic guy takes a look at it. We do a little drive around the building kind of thing. He goes, yeah, it sounds like he just blew a hose off the turbo intake. But he's not going to be able to get to it. It take a couple of hours kind of thing. And I've got to be in Indianapolis tonight. I'm already behind schedule. So I go over to Enterprise, rent a car, take off. I am Dayton, Ohio, I think it is. And it's like 11 o'clock at night. I need to make a rest stop real bad. And my GPS tells me to take an exit to Chicago. So I start freaking out. I've got my GPS all wrong. What's going on? And I see a Motel 6. So I pull off. Thankfully, I had a room, spend the night there. Next day, get back on the road. And it's because when you get to it's a straight shot across Ohio to Indianapolis. But when you get to Indianapolis, there's this little jog you got taken. Oh, what a mess, what a mess. But I get to Indianapolis. I only got one game on Thursday, thank goodness. So I get to Indianapolis really early Thursday morning, hook up with my guys, get in the room, dump off my stuff. I use Spot Hero to for parking because I'm not going to go drive anywhere. So I just need some place to park the car for the weekend. 2020 hindsight, I should just one way it with the Enterprise and just one way to back. So, but there's a place near the hotel that's like $7 a day cheaper than the hotel. So I go and park the car and head down to the convention center. Hang out with Todd and with Bob and some of the other GMs and stuff. Just and I start just going over the scenarios and stuff like that because my first game. Okay, so we're at Gen Con day one now. My first game is the Fountain of the Three Damsels, which is a Pendragon game. I actually ran more Pendragon than any other game system here in this weekend, and I only ended up playing one RuneQuest game. So yeah, I didn't quite feel like I was meeting my need, but we do what we can to take care of business. I've run the Three Damsels before a few times, so I'm familiar with it. But you want to refresh your memory, right? And refresh the rules because Pendragon has some interesting rules. With the whole the Price is Right mechanic, target number changes. Die can change if you get over 20, and all these kind of modifiers. Mounted against ground. Mounted charge attack gives you +5. Mounted against ground gives you another +5. If you inspire with a passion, that's another +10. So you can get some huge numbers. Yeah, fun time. So I'm reviewing the scenario just to refresh all the different stuff you're going through. and there's two tables running the same scenario. We're in the same room, and it's just the two of us. But thankfully, it wasn't too loud, so there wasn't a lot of crossover. And don't recall too much about this game, unfortunately. I do remember. Oh, the premise of the scenario, right? You've got two cousins that are trying to stop a wedding, and you've got these two Irish knights who are asking Arthur for something, and then there's these two knights of Count Robert, I think, Baron Robert, that are escorting, right? So you got essentially three groups all grouped together, right? And the guy in this party with the greatest amount of glory, and Pendragon glory kind of gives you your setting, right? You get 1,000 points for becoming a knight. If you marry a noble woman, you can get another 1,000. You get a few, you get maybe 100 every season from your uh, significant traits and passions. People know you because you are valorous, because you are chaste, because you are worldly, that kind of stuff, right? And so there's a couple in the 1100s, a couple in the 13s, and this one guy at 35 something. So kind of people are going to, reach up to him. And he's one of the escorts, right? So traveling down the path, everybody gets together, you do the whole introduction stuff, and traveling down the path, and they get intercepted by Dame Adventure, right? He calls out here to call knights, true knights to adventure. Um, and she gives them this quest to go to the Fountain of the Three Damsels through this, secret passage kind of thing through the thicket, and then she takes off. Well, the mission for the players is to go to King Arthur's court for Christmas court and put their petitions forward, right? Not to go chasing some damsel into the woods after adventure. And most of the time, there is this one senior knight saying, "I'm here to escort you guys. We're going to Camelot to get so you guys can do your thing. We're not running off into the woods to go after adventure." And I've had a couple of groups who say, because there's one guy in the scenario who's like really uh, not temperate. Yeah, so, but he's got a quick fuse, right? So he's always rushing off doing stuff. And I had a couple of groups in the past who just, okay, I'm taking off. I'm going after adventure. If you're gonna come follow me and keep me safe, come follow me. That kind of stuff. And this particular group, for quite a while, we argued, or they argued, back and forth about, what are we gonna do? We're gonna eventually decided, okay, we're gonna mark this trail with a dead rabbit. Slit its throat, blood everywhere, because it's wintertime and it's snow everywhere. And then we're going to go to King Arthur's court for Christmas court, and we come back and we're going to go through. The scenario is not designed that way, right? In fact, the scenario is designed to actually answer one of the issues dealing with going to King Arthur's court, right? The wedding thing. We actually end up interfering with it in the scenario if you're successful. And so there's nothing in the scenario about, okay, King Arthur's court, you petition forward, okay, we head back, and make hunting rolls, you got to find this spot again, right? And it's been like a week. But somebody made a hunting roll, so they found the spot and they go through and they come to the pond and there's the fountain and there's the three damsels. Although one's a child, one's a teenager, she's like 15 or something like that, and then there's an adult woman in her 30s, and then an old woman, crone, in her 60s kind of thing. And they've each got a quest each, and they've got a little tie into there's youth loves folly, and then there's some kind of love connection for the womanly virtue, and then there's loves. Oh, what is it? Nurturing love or something for the old crone kind of thing. They are all tied together in in the end. You just don't know that at first, right? So the first scenario is you go and there's this poor girl who's getting hairs. Oh, spoilers, by the way. If you ever run the Three Damsels, don't be listening to this stuff, right? So they come across the clearing, and the damsel, the maiden, or the damsel of the fountain, the youth tells the adventurers what's going on, right? The knights what's going on, and they can see, there's this girl who's skinning hairs. There's a fire. There's this huge pavilion, and there's this knight out there. And okay, so you guys need to, try and rescue her, kind of thing. And then the knight will jump out though, and he'll say, "I've taken her. She's mine. I'll do what I want. If anybody's got anything to say about it, you need to fight me, and I'll take you on one at a time, all of you, that kind of thing." And so there's, jousting and on foot and fighting until somebody surrenders, kind of thing. And in the end, this knight is actually a fairy knight, right? So you don't really get to kill him. He's tough. And I have had sessions where we've gone through 3 nights before he went down. He's also got some magic going on, and if you notice that, then you can actually put an end to it, which inflicts more damage on other people, plus heals him. So it can get a rather long and lengthy combat going on. But this one didn't go too badly. There's some discussion, okay, who gets to do the fight? Generally, the knight with the greatest glory gets, hey, everything turns to him. But the rambunctious knight, the guy turns to him and say, hey, why don't you take care of this deal? And he ends up failing, if I remember right. He goes unconscious, and it was the second knight that actually took out the knight of the hair. It turns into a puff of smoke that shapes like a rabbit, and that's all. So they rescue the girl. The fairy knight's horse saddles up towards. Oh, that's right. The knight that took the fairy knight out went unconscious the same combat round. They hit each other, and he took the knight out, and then he went down. So the fairy knight horse is kind of nudging him. They put him up on the fairy knight horse. They offer the girl a horse to go to her father's house, and then they head back to the pond. And then they get the next quest. This part of the quest is to melt the frozen heart of the woman of the castle. So they come across this village. Everything's nasty and cold. People are nasty. They obviously everything is going poorly here. They don't have enough food to eat. Everything's cold. Everything's damp. And it's nasty, 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 right? And they get to the keep, and the keep, the fire's out. The torches are out. There's the lady. She's got 4 ladies in waiting. And then the damsel from the damsel from the fountain, hey, you need to warm her heart, and maybe you can get a wedding out of it, that kind of thing. And so in order to win her heart, though, you've got to, so you can protect her by going out to the crossroads and jousting all comers for a week, or going into the forest and hunting a boar so you can show you can feed her, and for showing non-fighting skills at a feast to show that you can entertain. Those are the 3 tests. But for our group, we pretty much everybody decided, he's the only one that really needs to be doing this, because somebody's got a passion for the girl from the first one. The knight with the glory is already married and has a passion for his wife. One of the knights, the female, has no interest. And then there's the unconscious guy. The unconscious guy gets to do chirurgery here at the keep over the next couple of weeks to try and get conscious and then healed up. So that was kind of fun too. So they kind of all, okay, this guy's going to do it. And he goes out and he jousts. He actually did pretty well on the jousting. That wasn't too bad. And then on the hunt, they all hunt together, trying to help him. And he actually ends up taking the boar out. Well, knocking him unconscious. Before the rest of the party can actually get there to help him. But when they do get there, there's this invisible fairy who's making a mess of things and causing all kinds of problems. They try to attack him, knock him down, that kind of thing. They can't get to him because he's invisible. So you're minus 15 on your skill of 15 with your sword, that kind of thing. It's kind of designed that eventually somebody's going to hit him, and once you hit him, he'll run off and flee. Otherwise, he's just throwing mud and making a mess and shouting insults at everybody. And one time I ran this, I actually had him pull his dagger out. After he did a round of throwing mud and making insults, he started just attacking at people at random. Just kind of forced the players. Okay, we got to defend ourselves. Didn't with this one. Just did a couple rounds of that. While that's happening, they manage to get the boar up on a horse and they take off. So he won the jousting and he wins the hunting, and so now you've got to compose, and then it can either be a song or a poem or the music for an instrument, words for a song, music for a song, or a poem. And the guy, I think he did poetry. He guys compose, and he does poetry. So during the feast, they're having a big feast and stuff, and then he does his thing to present the lady. It's kind of funny because all of the girls' names rhyme. There's Brienne, Grianne, there's a Bleanne as well. There's one more somewhere, but that kind of thing. But you built her heart, and she's all feeling lovey to you. And if you want, you can develop a passion for her. Rose of passion is fairly decent. If you want, you can propose. She accepts. We have a feast, and during the feast, the invisible fairy shows up again. He actually starts attacking people, attacking the maidens and you roll randomly to see if it's one of the ladies in waiting or if it's the lady herself. And a couple of them get hit 2 or 3 times before they actually somebody got a critical hit on the fairy, and that just takes them right out because they have a lot of hit points. And then so that's all set up, and then everybody goes back to the fountain, and then there's the old crone who leads everybody to this Baron Greehouse. So there's background to that. This guy, Baron Greehouse, is supposed to wed his daughter off to this other king who's going to then make a bad situation. Because this king will make war on neighboring areas. And that was one of the stuff the guys going to Camelot trying to stop. Hey, Arthur, don't let this wedding happen because of this and the other. And so they get here, and it turns out that the girl that's supposed to marry the bad king is in fact the girl from the first scenario that one of the players has a passion for. And so they come in, she sees them, father, and these are the guys who saved me from the Night of the Hare. Let's celebrate them. That kind of stuff, right? So they're invited to dinner. There's a fancy feast, and they're celebrated and that kind of stuff. And as the night goes on, there's a couple things going on. The old crone is trying to get Bleanne, which is the girl from the first scenario. She's got a lover who's the son of a king of another kingdom, kind of thing. Trying to get her snuck out of the castle so she can meet up with her paramour so they can go and consummate their relationship, which will then make her ineligible for getting married to this other king, the bad king. And there's also a whole series of things where Bleanne's younger sister is trying to not hook up, but get a relationship started with one of the other knights. And there's only one other knight who's not got some kind of connection already. And that was the guy who was unconscious previously, right? Who got healed up at the other castle over time. And so there's a couple of scenarios where she keeps losing to her lady in waiting at backgammon. Can you please help me? Her gaming against her gaming. But her gaming is 15. This other guy's gaming was really low, and he wasn't able to do that. So she, very disappointed. Bleanne is very disappointed. But later on, there's a dancing scenario where she is being, she's not getting hounded. There's this guy coming to ask Leanne to dance. Leanne's maiden handmaiden goes back to the night, the free night, right? He's coming to ask her to dance. Please intercede. Don't let him do that. And so, or do that. He's got to, leap over this table to interpose himself between the two, and he's got to do a dex save to do that, and he fumbles it. Whack right on the table, flat out falls to the floor. So one of their players, actually the female, the dame, says, "Hey, can I intercede and do something to save the face for him and help him out?" And, sure, yeah. So the dame intercedes and then asks that guy, Sir Bladis Face or something, to go dance with her, that kind of thing, to get that pushed away. So between these two fumbled up events, um, I forgot how, but he's able to. No, he doesn't get a passion for her, but she at one point during the night gets with him and says, "I know that you guys are going to sneak my sister out of the castle tonight. You need to take me with you." And then later on in the night, the crone actually gets to the players and says, "Okay, this is the deal. I need to get her out so that she can get with her paramour and they can do their thing, and then that she's safe from doing this other stuff." And the player with the passion goes, "No, we can't do that. We can't have her hook up with this other guy. She's mine. She's mine." But they come up with a pretty decent plan. They start a fire in the kitchen as a distraction. They got a couple of folks out front, got the squires, that kind of thing, just checking the horses. So they took their armor out, so not sneaking in, not trying to sneak in armor, right? You can't do very well. And they're getting the horses ready and that kind of stuff. But three of them, there's this field all around the castle, the field of lovers' remorse. That's a huge thicket, and it's hard to drive through. And so the women, the old woman, she can't do that by herself, so she's got to ride with the knight. Bleanne needs to ride with the knight, and Bleanne's sister needs to ride with the knight. So that's three knights that have got people on them, so they got a subtraction on the riding roll to get through the stuff. And if they miss their riding roll, the horse takes damage, that kind of stuff. It can cause issues, but they made it through okay. A couple of horses took damage a couple times. Nothing significant. But it is possible to lose a horse en route, right? That causes even more problems. But the other side, and over the hill comes Bleanne's paramour, and the player knight who has a passion for Bleanne, because he's riding towards him and we're riding towards him. He stops, and we have this little discussion. Okay, I'm stopping, and I'm getting down to talk to Bleanne and express my love and my passion for her and all this kind of stuff. And so there's a do I make a roll? I don't remember if I make a roll if there's something written in the scenario now about what happens if that occurs. And so then they get back on the horse after the party stops the paramour and they have some general introduction discussion kind of stuff. And then they come up, and then the paramour says, "Oh, Bleanne, la, 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 my love for you," and that kind of stuff. And she slides down and says that this knight also loves her, and the only way to settle this is a duel of honor. And so they do the duel, and the player wins. I don't recall if there's like a critical or something that ended it really quick, because I don't remember it taking a lot of time for that combat. And then matron love, madam love, another fairy lady, right? Lady Lake kind of stuff comes out. She's the representation of love, and she sends the lovers into the cave so they can do their thing. And then she, asks these knights if they will be, members of her knights of courtly love or something, and they get some magic items out of it. That's kind of how the scenario ends. I did have at least one game in the past where they were trying to sneak out and they weren't able to do it, and the Baron comes out, starts screaming, yelling, and he turns into an ogre. The whole family's fairies, and he's fighting off the knights with a bench Interesting stuff happens when that goes on. But if they take him out, then the uh, field of lover's remorse incinerates, burns away. But that's that scenario. I really do like it. It's a lot of fun, and you get to do a lot of combat and a lot of other types of roles, and practice doing that kind of stuff. Lots of fun. But shoot, 25 minutes. Sorry it took so long, guys. Happy gaming.